Well, firms are always looking for ways to differentiate themselves. And so one of the ways, obviously, that's in vogue right now is to be sustainable or green. And so companies are investing money, resources, training personnel, but also looking at what type of outside partnerships make sense to give them a competitive advantage in the marketplace. So the decision-making process for large construction companies is probably the most vital part of the equation. I think far too often it's fragmented. Far too often you have too many people trying to make decisions, and what that does is that lends to less than ideal results.
C&D recycling infrastructure varies by geography based on population, really. If there's a highly populated area, it's more likely to have infrastructure for recycling. You will not find that in the Midwest and some of the deep south and some of those places that are more rural. So we try to find solutions where we can help partners build an infrastructure in that market if it doesn't already exist. The challenges and opportunities facing the C&D industry in terms of sustainability are really getting accurate reporting and data, which today they are not getting. Streamlining a lot of their processes to find efficiencies and to have their best practices put in place amongst all of their project managers and superintendents and all the folks on the ground. The trends for C&D that I see in 2020 is really moving towards circular solutions for things like gypsum, for things like wood, for things like carpet. A lot of the things that these builders are dealing with and have scrap, but don't necessarily have a place to send it today. Lead and zero waste goals are very common for companies today, but it can be very difficult if you don't have the expertise in the market, right? And so you're spending a lot of time doing the research on these individualized markets, trying to find what infrastructure exists there and how you can handle those materials. Rubicon acts as the partner to come in and really help you manage all of that and take all of that off your plate so that these contractors can worry about building. Some of the positive impacts are obviously environmental impacts for your company, corporate responsibility and making sure that you're driving diversion and doing the right thing by the environment, and then obviously cost savings as well if you're finding a marketplace for those materials. C&D companies can enjoy cost savings through a variety of ways, through the sustainable handling of their C&D materials, whether that's cost savings internally by eliminating overhead, whether that's finding revenue for the materials that are being generated and pushed off-site, or in finding marketing themselves and finding new business because of those sustainable practices. Rubicon customizes C&D strategies for your business through looking at your type of projects that you're doing, the marketplaces that you're doing them in, looking at the infrastructure and opportunities for diversion, and then putting together a holistic solution for that project in those specific markets and as a program as a whole. Regulatory changes really truthfully haven't impacted the industry much because there's not much from a federal level, there's nothing from a federal level. It's really being left to the individual states, counties, and cities to decide if they want to put those regulations in place. And so in places like California where there's a minimum diversion, you do what you need to do to make that minimum diversion, but 95% of the time there's nothing in place from a regulatory perspective to kind of guide how the recycling should be done.